Welcome to Samoski Winter, to another Series 2 replay cast. This time it's going to be sent in by Ironhide, playing as the Soviets, and his ally is going to be Schwarzy, playing as the British. On the enemy side, we have Stainless Steel, You Think You Are So Cool of that name, and Panzer Grenadier. So, Samoski Winter. By the way, you may hear a bit of a background noise. There's a drill working somewhere in my apartment block. And so it's really noisy, but I don't think it picks it up. I've done a bit of a test before with my audio, and it doesn't seem to pick it up that much. So if you do hear it, then I'm sorry, but yeah, can't be helped. So, Zamoski Winter. Pretty interesting map. A map I kind of hate though. Of course, lots of ice where you can easily lose your tank or vehicles if you aren't careful. Lots of buildings in the center. It is, after all, Samoski. And the two fuel points are in very vulnerable locations, both of them. The northern one in a pretty much an open field with a bit of heavy cover, and this sort of a ledge to protect it on one side, and this house to protect it on the other. And on the other side, we have the very infamous island fuel point with the house on the right and the little river, icy river, in the south. So this is the place I hate most on the map, because the enemy always seems to get this house before me. It's just kind of a thing that happens to me. So we already have 3 doctrine selections before like 2 minutes already, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Panzer Grenadier went for close air support. Now, I haven't seen close air support used much for a long time, because it fell kind of out of favor once they nerfed the AT support strafe. They made it so it takes a lot longer for the plane to reach the target area than it used to. Used to be pretty much an instantaneous attack, but now it takes a little bit, and it's driven a lot of players who played that doctrine to not play it anymore, which is probably good because it's really annoying to play against. Of course, in case you don't know what it does, what the doctrine in general does, recon run, pretty normal, just a plane passing by and giving vision. Supply drop zone, drops fuel or ammunition depending on the point you call it in. On this map, it would be most useful at this point, because the munitions points are very easy to harass in general. They're very vulnerable locations. Stuka anti-infantry strafe just suppresses infantry in the area. Anti-tank strafe does a lot of damage to both infantry and vehicles in the area. And the Stuka dive bomb strike is fairly self-explanatory. So Ironhide went for shock rifle. Don't really think there's anything to say about this. It's going to be really good for the shock troops for the center of the map, because shock troops are really good at this kind of fighting where there's a lot of close quarters and a lot of buildings with their grenades. 2 Kubu wagons out in the field for Stainless Steel. He also went for a second Storm Pioneer squad. This is a very interesting start, very original. But the Kubu wagons are going to be good for harassment. Of course, he's also going to find this mortar squad, which means that the Kubu wagons can easily chase down this mortar and force us to retreat. On the right side, Ironhide is pushing up with his conscripts and his Maxim against some Grenadiers on the right side fuel point. He has managed to get control of the fuel point, and now he's going for the VP. Though, at the same time, he's being flanked from the left by the enemy OKW player, who also finally went for a Volksgrenadier squad. The Stainless Steel now finally has some Volksgrenadiers out in the field, and he will have the ability to upgrade some Panzerschrecks soon. Though he will not need to very soon, because Ironhide went for tier 2 instead of tier 1, so he doesn't really need any kind of AT right now. The British are advancing back against the Germans, but there's a bit of a problem. They're going into negative cover. They should be taking cover behind the stone wall. The conscripts are charged a bit too close to the action because of the Storm Pioneers. This is a terrible idea, and they will be forced to retreat with heavy casualties. On the right side, we have a sniper from the Wehrmacht. Looks like the Wehrmacht refers to retreat with their Grenadiers. On this side, they also have a mortar firing on the Soviet units in the area, but it's not really working out too well for them. Mortar hasn't done any damage yet. So the sniper was forced away. Looks like there was a bit of a micro by Panzer Grenadier, and he had a bit of an issue with the sniper. 1 Kubu wagon going down from the infantry sections. One of the infantry sections managed to retreat back to base with almost no men, but Schwarzy did upgrade the weapon racks on his HQ, so that is an excellent decision if you are expecting lots of engagements early on like this. The Brenza on your infantry will be very useful in winning those engagements, especially against the Stern Pioneers. Other than that, we also have the Royal Artillery Regiment that I want to talk about. If the game devolves into a very defensive stalemate, as it looks like it might happen, the Royal Artillery Regiment will be really useful because of the concentration barrage, allowing you to drop down your artillery from your base at any point in the map without any need to actually send your infantry there. Also, the Observation Detachment Valentine is an excellent vehicle because it just allows you to see. It's basically, in case you have never seen it, it's basically like the infrared half-track, except it can actually fight as well. So it's just kind of a decent little unit. It can defend itself fairly well against infantry. Not too great against vehicles, but it can work out. So a flamethrower, actually, the flamethrower engineers are going to wipe the sniper, giving a nice burst to the sniper as it was trying to snipe this machine gun, this Maxim from the fuel house. But the engineers will be now in a very big trouble because of these Stern Pioneers that are closing in. Anti-tank grenade upgraded by Ironhide going down on the Cuba-Wagon. Cuba-Wagon gonna go down, second Cuba-Wagon dead. That is very good for the Allies, and the machine gun from Ironhide will be forcing these Stern Pioneers to duck for cover inside this building. This of course means that they will break suppression and they will be very dangerous to these conscripts, but at the same time the machine gun is still doing damage to them, and we have a Molotov from Ironhide, so Ironhide was going for both Molotovs and AT grenades, and both of these Stern Pioneers will be going down. Also a machine gun will be going down for the Germans from this Bofors, and it looks like some kind of Molotov thrown by this conscript squad. So excellent usage of Molotovs. I'm not too much of a fan of that upgrade, but in this kind of scenario where the enemy is taking lots of houses, Molotovs are definitely a worthy purchase. And the conscripts will also approach with these infantry sections and wipe out the mortar team, thus taking out any kind of veterancy that they had. Now the conscripts will be forced to retreat with very low HP, and they will be lucky to escape. That was a bit of a late retreat by Ironhide, but he conserved the squad fairly easily, so that's good for him. Definitely very good. Don't want to be losing conscripts that early on into the game. He has the ability to purchase shock troops right now, as he does have almost 4 command points, and shock troops are at 2 command points, but he doesn't really have the manpower, and I would not advise him to purchase shock troops right now, because the amount of manpower he has is very, very limited, and I do believe that he needs to get an AT gun out of this field soon, just in case Panzer Grenadier is going for a 2 Scott car, which he is. So Panzer Grenadier really needs to work on his unit preservation, because he's lost a machine gun, a sniper, and a mortar. That is something in the region of 480 plus 360, so 540, 840 manpower. So that's like 900 manpower, considering also all of the reinforcement that he had to do. That is a lot of manpower. For reference, for the Soviets, 900 manpower is something in the region of like 2 conscripts, and yeah, 2 conscripts and 2 machine guns. That sounds about, yeah, that sounds about it. The Germans have gone for a Lux. Now, the Lux will be very useful at just harassing the enemy, because they don't really have any kind of AT except for AT grenades. So stainless steel just needs to be very wary of grenades and just keeping clear of them, and not really closing into conscripts that much, and then you should be just fine. There's one AT gun from the British. The British going for a mortar emplacement from Schwarzy. This is very smart, in my opinion, to go for this mortar emplacement, because of the fact that the early warning from the the artillery doctrine will allow him to see in the neighboring sectors from sectors that he does control, so he will be able to spot for this mortar fairly easily. But at the same time, the Lux is making its move, dealing some heavy damage to this Maxim, along with the 52 Scott car. 52 Scott car having taken an AT gun shot. Lux also now taking an AT gun shot. Lux will be forced to retreat, and the Scott car will now be attempting to run around the anti-tank gun and destroy it, or at least decrew it. But there's also some Soviet and British units nearby to help, so I don't really think that, even if the armored car can decrew the AT gun, I don't think it will be able to destroy it. VED1 is achieved though for the armored car, so that's really, really good for it. The Breds are dealing some pretty good damage to the armored car from the rear armor. Second 2 Scott cars is on the field, so we have the 444 build. that I love oh so much. And one infantry squad for the British goes down from the 444, and that's a pretty big blow because that's like 280 manpower. Is it 200? Yeah, 280 manpower. That will be going down the drain, and they probably also had some kind of upgrade on them, at least medics. So looks like Ironhide. I'm not really sure why he's not throwing an AT grenade. Looks like he wasn't really paying attention. Whoa, something happened to the Lux. Yep, Lux just died. Not really sure where. Perhaps it's sunk in the ice. Perhaps there was a mine on the ice and it sunk. Oh no, it was here. Oh no, there was a mine over here. Yeah, I saw Ironhide placing a mine here earlier. So it looks like the Lux, by taking heavy damage from the British AT gun, was destroyed by a mine that was pretty much straight here and was placed by Ironhide earlier. So that's a really good play, using his engineers to just shave off a bit of his resource floating, in this case munitions. So Stainless Steel has gone for Breakthrough Doctrine, and he has selected that for about 2 minutes now. But he does have some Panzer Fusiliers out in the field. We have a second Lux out of him, but he is charging way too close to these conscripts who are going to be able to throw down some AT grenades on this Lux and destroy the engine, thus allowing them to retreat easily, and also perhaps using this Su-76 that Ironhide is building to finish it off once the Lux is trying to limp away to base. He will not be able to limp away fast enough for this Su-76. Very fast anti-tank gun mounted on a Su-70, T-70 chassis. So he will be able to fairly easily approach this area, but he does need to be careful because the T-2 Scout Car is actually very effective against the Su-76. In case you have never tried it, just try to use one or even better two T-2s, in this case the 444, to run around the Su-76. You will see that it just shreds it from the rear armor fairly easily. But it looks like the T-2 will be caught at long range, where it is pretty much no match for the Su-76. And the Su-76 will be able to easily destroy it, also thanks to the fact that the T-2 is attempting to cross the ice, which means it will be slower. Last shot connects just in time for it to not be over the fence, or rather the hedgerow, and it will be destroyed. But that has allowed, the sacrifice of the T-2 has allowed the Lux to escape fairly easily. The Su-76 is attempting to push against this Su-76. It's attempting to push against the Grenadiers, but the Grenadiers will be able to easily Panzerfaust it and force it to retreat. Now, it should be very careful, the Su-76 going over the ice, because the Panzerfaust might just break it. And he will be very lucky to survive that. But we also have the Germans going for a fuel cache at these strategic points outside the base, which is very smart. They should also be planting a munitions cache over here at this connecting point with their fuel. Because right now the Germans, while having lost most of the engagement and having lost most of their units, they still have a fairly decent map control. They have pretty much been allowed to keep this entire left side of the map by the Allies, who could have just sent perhaps this engineer squad and perhaps this sapper squad over here to the left to harass. And this is, in my opinion, a big mistake that the Allies are making right now, just allowing the Germans to keep those resource points when they really don't have the units to maintain those points. But other than that, the Allies are playing fairly well. The British have had a bit of an issue with unit preservation. They have lost 1 or 2 infantry sections, which is not exactly what you want to have, but hey, it does work out in the end if the map control is in your favor, which of course would only happen if you sent some units to the left side to harass. So Stuka close air support anti-infantry strafe was called in by Panzer Grenadier. This has of course alerted the Allies that it is in fact the close air support doctrine. I believe there's also one other doctrine with this kind of a strafe, but I'm not exactly sure. Of course, Stainless Steel will be, who was very cool with that name, will be crying about his teammate. Now, you see, like, yeah, sure, your teammate isn't the best, but you aren't the best either. Like, you lost 2 looks. You lost 2 lookses. No, you only lost 1. But still, like, Stainless Steel lost 2 Kuba wagons, 1 Stern Pioneer squad, one Volksgrenadier squad. I'm pretty sure he's also lost one Volksgrenadier squad. No, he lost 2 Storm Pioneers. Okay, that's even worse. Units. No, he doesn't. He hasn't lost any Volksgrenadiers. Yeah, but still, like, he's lost 2 Storm Pioneers, 2 Volkswagens, 2 Cuba wagons, and it's just, you know, you need to be more aware of your own play before you talk shit about your allies. That is something that most online game players just pretty much have to learn every once in a while. So right now the allies have managed to get pretty much complete control of the right side of the map, which is excellent for them, as the left side is pretty much controlled by the Germans, but each center is also controlled by the allies. So the allies have 2 victory points to 1. The victory point situation is pretty even, but at this point, if the allies can manage to concentrate and push on the left side and take this point, as the Germans right now are attempting to cross this river on the right, they will be throwing a bundle grenade at this Maxim machine gun. Maxim will not be noticing this in time and retreating out of the house, so it will go down with the house. We have a nice artillery ability, looks like, being used by the Su-76 on the Panzer Grenadiers, forcing them to retreat, but at the same time, the British infantry is here to assist the Soviets, and they will be easily able to force away the Germans. So this assault will fail for the Germans, but it will also allow the OKW to consolidate on the left side over here, with some Panzer Fusiliers upgraded with G43s, who are very, very dangerous to Allied infantry, especially once bedded up. So I do believe that these are good purchases, especially that stainless steel is floating a lot of manpower. It should really not be floating that much. Panzer IV is on the field for Panzer Grenadier. Now, with the kind of fuel situation that the Axis have, I would have gone for a Tier 4. Personally, just to attempt to bring out some kind of really heavy unit like a Bombardier or a Panther to turn around the fortunes of the battle. Because right now the Germans aren't actually in that kind of a big fuel disadvantage. They're actually pretty even. Well, not pretty even. They are pretty much 1/3 behind, but still, considering the map control situation and the way the engagements have been going, I'd still consider that a win for them. Looks like a couple of Molotovs were thrown, or perhaps a couple of incendiary grenades by the Germans. Yeah, it looks like it was incendiary grenades. And the KV flamethrower was called on the field for Ironhide. It attempted to... Oh no, that was probably KV flamethrower shots, actually. Yeah, and it was actually forced away by the Panzer Grenadiers with, rather, the Panzerschrecks. A Centaur is on the field though for the British, and it will be in a very big jeopardy because of the Panzer IV and the Panzerschreck upgraded Panzer Grenadiers, dealing some heavy damage to them and forcing the Centaur to retreat. Very lucky that the Panzer IV did decided to not chase, because it could have probably chased. So we have a demo charge going from Ironhide on the right side VP, which is an excellent decision, because when you want to be leaving your points undefended to go attack somewhere else, as he is doing right now on the left side, this constant squadron is in very big jeopardy from the looks, but it will manage to get an ET grenade on looks, gain bet-free, and will attempt to retreat outside of its range, thanks to the cover of the hedgerow. The second conscript squad is doing heavy damage to the enemy, but also being almost wiped by the Storm Pioneers and the Panzer, or rather the Panzer Fusiliers, and so many Panzers. Looks like the Panzer Fusiliers will be attempting to throw a grenade at these conscripts and wiping them out. So bet-free squad going down, and the KV flamethrower is also going down from the Panzerschreck fire from the left of the hill, and it will go down. The Su-76 is attempting to deal some heavy damage to Panzer Fusiliers with an artillery barrage, but it's missing. Yeah, it was fairly missed, and the smoke is definitely lagging my computer though. The shock troops that Ironhide called in, along with the flamethrower engineers, have managed to push back the German infantry. Looks like Ironhide lost an engineer squad somewhere, the original flamethrower engineer. We should also be attempting to go for another engineer squad and upgrading them with Minesweeper, in my opinion. That would be very important for him. Looks like the Germans are attempting to push us in the center. The Wehrmacht is attempting to use the chaos in the left to push in the center, but it hasn't really worked out. The Panzer IV was damaged fairly heavily by the British anti-tank defenses and the Bofors. Looks like we have a second centaur. Oh, we have 2 centaurs on the field for Shrotsy. He should also be going for the Valentine, in my opinion. Should be going for the Valentine and then saving up for perhaps a Firefly, considering the composition that he does have with the centaurs, allowing him lots of anti-infantry firepower. He doesn't even need a Comet. Looks like the pack gun dealing heavy damage to this centaur, perhaps destroying it. Yep, excellent maximum range shot by the pack. The centaur should have definitely been retreating earlier once it saw the pack. So that was a mistake for the British. We also have a Stuka on the field for stainless steel, which is in my opinion a mistake. We have a second Stuka on the field for stainless steel, which is in my opinion an even bigger mistake. And yeah, pretty much it did 1 barrage and dealt some damage perhaps to the Bofors. Yeah, it looks like the Bofors was the target along with the church. Perhaps hoping to catch this Victor's machine gun out on the church, but it looks like it was what she did in time.
They still have 300 points remaining.
We also have a demo charge going on from Ironhide at the left side fuel point, but the problem is that he planted the demo charge and then forgot to check on his engineers once they have finished planting the demo, because they automatically, unlike with mines where they sit on them, they automatically retreat a bit of a safe distance away from the demo charge once they plant one. And that's kind of annoying when you're capping a point and placing a demo charge at the same time, because the infantry will retreat out of the point almost all the time. And it looks like we have a huge blob approaching the demo charge for stainless steel, and I sincerely hope he will not be walking over it. Right now, Ironhide sees it. He sees the prize, I'm pretty sure. And now he will be waiting for the best moment. Looks like he will detonate it and deal. In my opinion, he could have just waited a little bit longer. He destroyed 1 Panzer Fusilier, killed 1 Stern Pioneer, and killed 1 further 3 Panzer Fusiliers. And he's clearly very happy about that. He should be retreating his shock troops though, they're about to get wiped. So he lost his engineer squad to do that. It was definitely a good trade for the Allies, but in my opinion, he could have waited a little bit longer on that. One important virtue with demo charges is just waiting, and I speak as a very heavy user of demo charges. You just need to wait a long time. And we have a Stuka barrage in the center, Centaur being demanned. Cromwell is on the field for the British. AT gun being decrewed by the Stuka shot. The pack gun still dealing heavy damage to the British armor. The British player Shrotsy should be very much more careful with his tanks, because right now he's being way too reckless with them. We have the IS-2 available for Ironhide. He's finally managed to scrunch together enough manpower. I wouldn't be reinforcing these troops if I was him. I would just be calling in the IS-2. In fact, he does call in the IS-2. This will be a really good vehicle to push back the Panzer IVs, because the Panzer IV will have trouble penetrating the frontal armor of the IS-2, whereas the IS-2 will have pretty much no problem penetrating the Panzer IV's armor if it can manage to hit, which with the IS-2 is a very, very, very big if. But other than that, the IS-2 should be able to easily also deal with the German infantry blobs that are coming in. So this is definitely a good purchase out of Ironhide, because the Germans really lack the counter for this kind of heavy tank. And these Volksgrenadiers in pretty much on the open are a pretty bad sight. It does, of course, beg the question of what is this IS-2 doing? With the IS-2, you don't want to be running around like this. You want to be standing at the longest possible range firing. The IS-2 misses and hits one of his own Maxim crew members. So that is very interesting. And the IS-2, again, as you can see, it's not like the T-34 where you want to be going in for rams and just running overs. Oh shit! Looks like there was a flare planted over here. Oh, please blow it. This one's actually a really good one. It would wipe 2 squads. Looks like he hasn't noticed. We have artillery overwatch, so it does blow up, and actually really lucky for the Germans to not wipe the second squad. And why did you retreat? There was no allied units there. You could have just sat there. So, what Ironhide did there was actually really cute. He placed a flare on top of the demo charge, as there is a big engagement over here. The S2 and the SU-76 should be really careful with this ice. The SU-76 will definitely go down. Very unnecessary sinking, because he was gonna die from any shot anyway, but trading an SU-76 for a Panzer IV is definitely a pretty good trade, especially when you have map control. So, talking about that, he actually placed a flare over the demo charge. Sometimes when you do that, the flare will automatically detonate the demo charge. That's why he did that. I'm guessing there's also the fact that he might not know that's the case, and he just placed it there so that when the enemy approached and popped the flare, he would get a notification over here, so he could quickly notice it. But he didn't notice it anyway, because he was a little bit busy microing this engagement in the center with the tanks. So he was a little bit late on the demo charge blow up. Ooh, the Centaur looks like was not finished repairing by the roll engineers, and it's just limping back to base. I'm pretty sure the Centaur is going to die from this Panzer IV. If it can actually muster the courage to charge up, it will be easily able to destroy the Centaur. But if I was him, I would not be moving. So we have a Schwer Panzer headquarters being built by Stainless Steel, who isn't that much better than Panzergrenadier. In fact, in my opinion, Panzergrenadier is playing better than Stainless Steel. I mean, at least he didn't go for 2 Stukas that he doesn't really utilize as much as he could. So since shock troops are attempting to deal some heavy damage to these Grenadiers, Grenadiers will be able to charge into close range, which is something that usually we don't say very much with shock troops, but a flaming artillery thing, incendiary artillery barrage gonna be going down on the Grenadiers, probably forcing the retreat, but it actually kind of misses. The Grenadiers will be able to cap without any kind of issue. New Panzer IV is on the field for Panzergrenadier. He's just spamming Panzer IVs, which it's fine. Ooh, damage destroyed an anti-tank gun. Looks like the pack gun attempted to push up and cap, but it was a terrible decision as there were infantry sections ready to counter that, and they were easily able to destroy the pack gun crew. And if they were smart, they would be destroying this gun. So Panzergrenadier is out, and I'm pretty sure this is game over. So it looks like a Stuka leveled this building with a Maxim in it, and the IS-2 is charging at the close range again. No, you don't want to be doing this, because the IS-2 is really inaccurate, but its armor means that if it stays at long range, it will be very hard for the enemy to penetrate. So, because of course, just in general, AT weapons lose penetration over distance. So what you want to be doing with the IS-2 is you want to be keeping at a maximum range, because its accuracy is terrible either way. In fact, in my opinion, it's a little bit better at long range in terms of accuracy than it is at close range. Don't ask me why, but I just get the feeling that that is the case from playing with it. Looks like also another Panzer IV going down for the AI, so that's just very sad. And the other Panzer IV will be sunk by the mortar pit, I'm pretty sure. No, it wasn't the mortar pit, so it might have been the Soviet mortar, or might have been the Centaur. Was it the Centaur? Yeah, it's possible. It's got 3 vehicles destroyed, so Stainless Steel will surrender. Talking about what the players could have done differently. Now, Ironhide, definitely, whenever you use the S2, this is something I've noticed also in your other games. Just instead of moving it around like you would a medium tank with your right clicks, or rather your right clicks, and just then eventually choosing a target whenever you want, just attack move with it. Use attack move, it will stay at maximum range. Keep it get backing away from the enemy if there's like a big blob chasing it. And keeping it at maximum range also means that since it is a heavy tank, it will be easily able to escape even if there's something that's coming at it that's faster than it, because if it's staying at long range, you can easily escape to your own lines if you do some kind of mistake. But if you just charge in recklessly, then with your heavy tank, you will not be able to escape the enemy at all. This is just a bit of a usage of the S2 that a lot of people, well, I'm not really sure about a lot of people, because not that many people use the S2 anymore. You need to be very careful with it. If you keep it alive, the unit is good at just being alive, so you want to be using that strength as much as possible. And if you keep it alive for a long time, it will pay itself off. Don't worry about it. While its accuracy is very terrible, eventually it's going to hit. If it's just facing a lot of blobs, eventually it's going to hit and deal a lot of damage anyway, especially if you upgrade the Dashika machine gun on it. then it will definitely shred infantry. Other than that, Iron had played well with his support weapons. He had always on hand 1 or 2 Maxims. Now, at the end, he lost them because of the Stukas, but that's fine. That's kind of something that you'd expect to happen anyway. He lost one of the vet-free conscript squads, but that can always happen. The shock troops, I was kind of impressed with his, I guess, trigger discipline on calling off shock troops. He did wait until the moment was opportune, and he was rewarded for it. The shock troops didn't really do that much, but again, sometimes the shock troops are just really useful in pushing. Also, I just noticed he has... Wait. No. It looks like he had merged his conscripts into the shock troops, but no, that was just me. He rebuilt his engineers when he lost them. That is a very good plus. That's something a lot of people don't do, and it's a very big issue because engineers are very important, deceptively so. The mortar paid for itself in the end, but I'm not too much of a fan of the Soviet mortar anyway. The demo charges were really good. The mines were also really good, so keep up with that. Using his munitions float pretty much entirely. He did call down 1 incendiary artillery barrage, but it didn't do much because of RNG. Schwartzy. Now, Schwartzy, he played fairly well. He had a bit of a issue with unit preservation in the early game, especially just going into roads and such. But he did recover later on. The Bofors was very smartly placed in the center because it has the range to reach its house from here, so it just prevents the enemy from getting into this house. And that's just really good. The 2 Centaurs, I'm not too much of a fan of that kind of build. He did kind of play recklessly with his vehicles as well. He did go for a Firefly at the end, which is excellent because he had a lot of munitions float that he didn't use. In general, he just didn't use his Doctrine at all, which is, in my opinion, a mistake. Now, the Sexton is not too great of an artillery piece right now, but next patch is going to be buffed. So what I'm kind of tempted to do is just play a few games with the Sexton anyway in this patch, just to get good with it, because it's a really, really cheap vehicle, if you think about it. But for what it does. But right now it's just kind of shitty, so I don't buy it ever. It's kind of a waste of pop cap as well, 14. But after the patch, it's going to be decent. It looks like they are increasing its splash radius on its shells by a fair bit. So I'm hoping that the Sexton is going to be decent, a decent vehicle. So practice with Royal Artillery as well. He used the 1 Perimeter Overwatch. Now, Perimeter Overwatch is, in my opinion, a shitty ability because what basically happens is it says all available 25-pounders, aka the base artillery over here, these 25-pounders in the base, and they will just, when a target is spotted, they will move to fire, aim, shoot, and then the shell will take like 5 seconds to cross the map, and the shells are really inaccurate anyway, and they will probably not hit anything. Unless the enemy is just blobbing into a VP, this is not a very useful ability, in my opinion, and it's just a waste of munitions. Better spent on concentration barrages with your 25-pounders. Now, the Germans, oh god. Panzergrenadier actually played fairly decently, in my opinion. He did really fuck up with his sniper in the early game. He just in general fucked up in the early game, and that really put him on the back foot for the entirety of the rest of the game. But in the rest of the game, he actually played fairly decently. He was harassing on the right side and pushing aggressively in the center. He didn't manage to destroy the Bofors in the end, and he was pushing a bit too recklessly without minesweepers. But he still deserves a bit of credit for trying. He's definitely used his manpower at least, which is more than I can say for stainless steel, Mr. Cool Guy over here. 2 Stukas and 2 Luxes are a bad idea. You should go for 1 Lux, and then at maximum 1 Stuka. Even then, that might be a bit too much. And then he could have gone for a King Tiger, which is an excellent unit on this map, or perhaps going for tier 4 over here and gaining out a Panther, which would have definitely helped him out against the medium armor that the British brought out, and also the IS-2. The IS-2 is definitely on even footing with the Panther, unless the Panther can get its flank, which is fairly easy if you can manage to set it up correctly. He has managed to preserve his Volksgrenadiers correctly, but all of his other units were pretty much decimated because he was way too reckless with them, especially the Cube Wagons and the Stern Pioneers. Other than that, what could the Germans have done differently to win? in my opinion, the close air support doctrine is not too great a choice for Panzergrenadier. I didn't get to see the other doctrines he was bringing to the table, so I can't really speak for that. Stainless Steel, on the other hand, Breakthrough is a really good doctrine if you can use it correctly, but really his main mistake was floating all those resources and going for units that he didn't really need. So if he had gone for a more cohesive, coherent, and I don't know, whatever other word you can bring out, build, he would have definitely been in a way better position to push into the center and the left side of the map and help out his ally by relieving pressure on the right side and center. Because right now, what he did was just kind of waste units in the center and go on the left a whole bunch when they already had left. So, yeah, I think Stainless Steel has even more of a blame on this one than Panzergrenadier, especially since Panzergrenadier actually went for armor, which is not a bad idea at all when you're playing, you know, the Germans. This is generally something that you just really need to get that kind of armor on the field, or else you're going to be crushed. And yeah, other than that, I don't think the Schwer positioning is too excellent, but it does cover a bit of the lake, which is really good in case there's like some kind of vehicle that tries to cross. The Schwer can just sink them, so that's kind of good. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this cast, I hope you learned something from it, and I hope you see you soon.